So let me ask today, 2025, um, an artist and their friend who might be their manager, let's call them their partner.
Mm-hmm.
They want to build a independent record label.
Mm-hmm.
A, would you advise them to do that? B, what's the first thing that they should be thinking about? Or maybe like the first, I wouldn't say hire because it'd be hard if you don't have the capital.
Yeah, you ain't hiring nobody.
You're not hiring anybody, but what's the first person that you're looking for to bring onto the team?
Probably somebody that just helps with the content. Once you have a good understanding of the story and the message that you're trying to share.
Yeah.
Because content is king. So just trying to, if you don't know how to, create videos and the graphic design. I mean, now there's tools where you can help with all that stuff. There's
Right.
AI tools and Canva and things like that. But at the time we were coming up, Hop did a lot of that stuff himself. But if you were able to bring somebody on, it really just depends on what you can't do already. But it typically is the focus is the content, either bettering the music or figuring out how to present it online.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, when you're structuring a business, because you took the role of manager and partner,
Mm-hmm.
I could imagine that created some kind of conflict at times.
I still don't think it does. I mean, to me it makes sense.
Okay,
You know?
make it make sense. That
Like why I don't see, because we should all be on the same team. I feel like where that comes from is a time where the manager had to make sure the label was on their shit, right? But Hop is the label too, right? So we all on the same
Fair
team.
enough.
Why can't we get in the same room and why do I need another person to communicate to you or through you? Like, we're on the same team. Let's figure this out and let's move.
Yeah.
So to me, I still don't see it. I still don't see it as a conflict.
And also, you're providing different services as a manager and a CEO of a label.
Yeah,
Those are two completely different things.
it is, but I feel like the manager these days wears so many different hats.
Yeah.
It's way different than 15, 20 years ago. I think manager is actually a little disrespectful because we do way more than just manage. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you're building a label together.
And in this day and age,
Right.
hell
Yeah. So you're basically developing a business for or with somebody. And manager just seems so limited compared to what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. So does it make sense to be an artist manager commissioning in this day and age, you think?
I got to put myself in like my younger me's shoes, because now for me it doesn't.
Right.
I'm not working with anybody that isn't moved. Like, I can't, especially with what I've gone through, some of the more negative things. Like, I'm older now. I don't have the time to gamble on trying to build somebody to a certain point and then things go left.
Yeah.
If I don't manage any music artists right now, I just work with a really good friend of mine who's a comedian, actor, director, Big Ja. He has great traction.
Dope.
We're working on trying to get in the television and film space. Streaming has impacted television and film in a similar way it has done to music, and it's created an opportunity to really create like an independent business. So I'm excited about that, and I'm applying a lot of the things that I've learned in music
Yep.
to what we're doing. But going back to your question, artists need managers. So I have to say, I try to pour into the young managers that have the passion, that have the endurance, that have the just the desire to be in that. So
Yeah.
I try to give them as much information as possible so that they can avoid some of the mistakes that I made.
Right.
Mostly in like communication with the artist and just managing that relationship.
What about in the structure of the business? Do you recommend people take a commission?
I would. If you helping somebody build their business from jump, I also put up all the money to start too.
Right.
So, but even if you
didn't though.
even if it's just sweat equity,
Yeah, exactly.
I believe if you start from the beginning, you gotta have some stake in the business.
Yeah.
I believe that's fair.
I think so too.
In any other industry, that would be fair.
You're a founder of a company.
Right.
If you're both building it from the ground up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, not everybody's fortunate to, like, I had a fortunate situation where I I've mentioned this before, but managing Jesse for almost a decade, stepped away from the business, all good, got paid. It was fine, did well for myself off of my commissions of 10%. It was 2 managers, so I was co-managing. First, it was just me. Then I brought in Byron Wilson to co-manage me with Jesse. He's still with her.
Okay.
But like I'm a rare case. Most managers, it seems like anybody I talk to, like they'll get cut out. They might not get paid. They might actually help the artist get from 0 to 40, and then all of a sudden the artist is going somewhere else. And guess what? Hopefully you get paid what's in the pipeline, but what's in the pipeline might be like 20, 50 grand, 60 grand.
Yeah.
Now this artist is going, but you have 0 equity. So if you're starting out from the beginning, to your point, whether you have money to invest or not, there's sweat equity. You're both starting from 0.
That's the thing that people don't understand, because, like, let's just say, and I don't know exactly how much I put into the business over time, because it wasn't just like, here's a lump sum. It was just like, what do we need? Like, even sometimes I would pay Hop's rent at times.
Yeah.
You know, so let's just say I probably put, and not that much before we got rolling, so I'll probably say like 40 or 50,000, right? But I was making at Deloitte 120, right? I got laid off, but I could have gone back I could have gone back to work and made around the same, right? So if I'm working,
you're technically taking a loss.
Exactly. So if I'm working for 2 years, not only did I put in 50,000 direct dollars,
Right.
like I just gave up potentially 200 plus.
Right.
Right. So, you know, I think artists need to understand that too. Like, this is the opportunity cost for me to do this is high.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we gotta account for that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And even just like if an artist is making 100,000 for the year, and you're getting 20% as a manager, that's 20 grand.
Yeah,
right.
And that wasn't the case out the gate either. So it wasn't even, you know what I mean? But
to
yeah,
make 100,000 even as an artist is like, I mean, that you're doing well. You're on your way.
Not that many artists are profitable.
Right.
You know, it's a risk. Like, if you just in this for the money, then pick another industry. Yeah, pick another industry, because you can probably get money a lot quicker. You know, just renting some vending machines or some shit like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
the non-sexy job.
Right.
Does get you a lot more money than
Yeah.
No, it's true. It's true. But okay, so now let's talk about like when it started to work though for you guys. So like, when was it that you started to say like, oh, this is really starting to like be a thing? And how was the operation running at that point?
I mean, it was still just me, Hop, and my brother. It's probably when we released this first album. No, not even when we released his first album. We got him out of his deal. Released his first album, Raw, and damn, all these dates it's been so long. It's probably like 2011, something like that.
Sure.
And it sold decently out the gate, but it didn't really get moving until he dropped a video called Ill Mind 4.
Yeah.
And then he did a collab with Tech 9, Am I a Psycho? And then he got the Double XL cover. You know, all these, I always talk about build on small wins, and I encourage artists, like, once you get a win, like, don't rest on it, don't wait, figure out how that win can lead to the next one, because in this business, you need a string of continuous wins to keep that momentum flowing. So when all those things happen, you know, sales of the album picked up even more, and then we got to a point where we can sign another artist and invest in other artists and just, you know, continue to grow the label.
Oh, so you just kept reinvesting the money back into the business, right? How important is it to reinvest the money back?
You got to bootstrap it, because you don't ever want, because we were never in a position where we had to like look for a deal. We didn't need any outside investment.
Right.
We just bootstrapped that thing until, you know, and it just kept picking up.
So for those who wouldn't know, like, what does bootstrapping mean? Like, and what is reinvesting back into the business? Because a lot of the audience that I think watches this is like trying to figure it out from step one sometimes.
I mean, it's basically, so you start making a little bit of money, you know, you put it back into the business. You make a little bit more than that, and then you put it back into the business, and you just keep building that way, just continuously reinvesting into yourself, so that you don't ever have to take a loan from somebody or get a deal from a label or anything like that you'll have to pay back, or, you know, give up your masters or you know, that's ultimately what it is. And I think artists today are in a great position to do that if you have the work ethic and if you have the patience, because there's more revenue streams available to artists today than there ever have been, right? You know, you have, you know, subscriptions, you got publishing, you got merch, I mean, there's so much stuff. You can get on OnlyFans, you can do Cameo, you can sell merch through Printify for damn near nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can drop ship merch. There's so many different ways to you make money on YouTube, make money on Twitch, like make money on Instagram, brand deals. Like
Yeah.
there's so many ways if you're able to build an audience that you can monetize that. And I think now is the best time ever to be a creator, if you ask me, because of that. That's probably the top reason to me.
I don't disagree with you on that because I think, but it's like it takes work.
Yeah, it's hard. No, for sure, it's hard. It doesn't mean that it's easier.
No.
But you can get a lot more creative. You have a lot more tools.
Yeah.
You know, you have the chance to get things going a lot quicker if things hit.